Hi again. This is the next story we have, and it's about Jesus feeding his disciples. You can see that they're by the lake. Peter and some of the other disciples were in Galilee, and Jesus had promised to meet them there. The disciples were down by the lake, and Peter looked at a fishing boat rocking gently in the water. They needed money to buy food and clothes, and Peter remembered when he and the other disciples had been fishermen. Jesus had called them from their fishing to follow him. Now Peter knew how they could get money to buy things that they needed. So Peter said, "I'm going fishing. We can sell the fish and buy what we need." "Well, we'll go too," said the others. So they got in the boat and they raised the sails and they fished. They kept looking at the nets and there were no fish. While they waited, they talked about Jesus and all the wonderful things that he had done. All night, Peter and the other disciples fished. All night they looked at the nets, but they didn't catch one fish. Morning came, and the men were so tired and they were hungry. And there was a man standing on the shore. He called to the men in the boat, "Friends, have you caught any fish?" "No," said Peter and the others. "Well, put your net on the right side of the boat and you will catch some fish," said the man. When they obeyed, the net became filled with fish. John looked at all the fish in the net. Then he looked at the man standing on the shore. Only one man could do something this wonderful. "It was Jesus," exclaimed John. Peter was so excited that he jumped right into the water. He didn't want to wait for the boat to take him to Jesus because Jesus was so near. Peter wanted to be with him. The other disciples brought the boat and dragged in the fish and came into shore. Jesus called his disciples to come and eat. So they came in. Brought the fish. And Jesus already had some cooking for them. He was cooking. He was going to feed them. They saw the fire was burning and they smelled the fish. That kind someone baking something for them was none other than Jesus. Jesus called his disciples to come and eat, and they ate. Jesus asked Peter 3 times, "Peter, do you love me?" This was the number of times that Peter had denied Jesus. 3 times. 3 times Jesus said, Peter said, "I love you." And the last time he said to Jesus, "You know that I love you." Jesus and the disciples then knew that Peter was truly sorry that he had denied him. Jesus said to Peter, "Feed my sheep and my lambs." And by this he meant, teach others about me. The disciples were no longer sad. Jesus had called them all to be his disciples. Later, at Pentecost, Peter preached a sermon, and 3,000 people were sorry for their sins and were baptized in one day. How happy Peter must have been to tell others about Jesus. When we tell others about Jesus, we're also being his disciples. So that's the story about how Jesus fed his disciples. Again, it's after he was risen from the dead. He showed himself to a lot of people. And this is one story about how he fed his disciples. I'll see you the next time for another story. I hope that you were able to read the reading from the scripture in John. And I miss all my little helpers. I hope that you will be back together soon so you can help me put the figures up. All right. right. Bye for now.